In the Pits is sponsored by Hustletown Paintball. Hustletown is a brand by Jason Tinsley of Houston that is all about representing Houston paintball and highlighting its local talent. Head to hustletownpaintball.net to browse their selection of casual wear and use code PIT10 for 10% off of your order. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is sponsored by FUAthletics, created with a purpose and focused on building a better you. We are a brand that matters in your workout, and every purchase gives back to cancer research. Go to thefuathletics.com and use code INTHEPITS25 for 25% off of your order. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot now offers first-in-line photo and video editing, 20% off Get Dat Shot merch, and 20% off prints to all teams that wear the Get Dat Shot logo on their jersey. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to become a Get Dat Shot program team. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Welcome, everybody, to episode 45 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we will have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. I'm Christian Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode, we're going in the pits with Gio Cardiel, player for Austin Notorious D4. Gio, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty good, man. Thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite, and then it's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. It's good to have you on. You've been tearing it up lately. You are man on fire in D4, having coming off some pretty big wins and some pretty big MVP awards. So let's get started. So Gio, for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
It's been a while, man. When I first started to play paintball, it was around 2002. And my brother and I used to go pretty much every weekend. Every weekend we will be playing for 3 years straight. And we used to play against FSU, TOG, but they were very little. I mean, Logan was a kid. Same with White Smoke. He was a kid. I remember them being little, kind of like my kids now. But it's just been a ride. My brother and I used to play every week, every weekend, every Sunday. We were there for almost 4 years straight. It was just talking to the guys. We will always try to jump to see if we can help them practice. But some of them were kind of iffy because they had already their guys, and they're we're practicing for a tournament. So we were just there to take our reps, and we took a long break from 2005 to till 2016. That's when I came back to tournaments. Back in 2002, we used to play at Constant Action. I don't know if you remember where that was.
No, I'm 2002. I was 6 years old, 7 years old. So
Dang.
Yeah, that's before my time.
Yeah, well, back then it was there was a bunch of just rec players and some tournament kids. We just to get smoked. We will go out there playing. I remember kids just running us down. We were just on the bunker and get shot 4 to 5 times on your back. And every time I would get shot, it's I need to get better. I need to get better. I didn't like getting shot 4 or 5 times in my back. So we play one tournament only. We played at Petty Paintball. And back then it was played with the flag in the middle. So by the time that I came back and started to play in 2016, my first tournament, like I didn't see the flag. I didn't know the format. I had to get like used to everything new. I never played it because I took a long break. So coming back in 2016, it was just that's pretty much when I joined the ATX Kings.
Mhm.
English, John were like two of the main guys, and then pretty much I started with them. And it was just a long ride. Like we started to make some noise real quick. When we started our first USXBL that was held in Outlaw, and nobody thought that we were going to get that far, but we got second place in that tournament, and it's pretty fun. We were all pretty happy. But it's just been a long ride, just meeting a bunch of different people. Back then, I just didn't talk to a lot of guys just because of the language barrier.
Mm.
And it was just hard to talk to them and see like, can I jump into your team? Can I jump into a tournament? So besides that and the long gap that I took, just since 2002.
Yeah, it's a long time to be in the game. I know that I met you in 2016 when you started showing up to Outlaw back when I was playing with the Texas Longhorns. So I've known you for 7 years now. But
Yeah.
and that's a lot more experience in the game than I thought you had. So what are some of the team names that you played for over the years? I know that you started with the ATX Kings, but also like throwing some of those teams that you played back in the early 2000s.
Well, back into 2000, I only play against them, never really play with them because it was more like when they were practicing for tournaments, like it was FSU for sure and TOG. Those are the only two names that I knew back then. So we play against them, but never with them. We were never got like into tournaments with them. So it was just having some practice against them mainly.
Gotcha. So you didn't really join up until you came back from your break.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so once you came back, who are the teams that you've played for since then?
Well, we started with the ATX Kings, and then I told the guys like any type of tournament that you guys don't want to play, I'm gonna jump in with whatever team I could just to get progress in the game. I play with the Renegades, I play with Greed, play with I know that the guys at FID, I think Colt, he came up with the name that it was called Coons and Friends.
Mm.
I think it was in 2017 or 18. I don't remember what year it was. I play with ODK, Innocent Bystanders. I played an event with Evo, and then I don't know if you remember Jose and Armando Serna.
Yeah.
We actually put a little three-man. It was called Bandidos. So we play a couple of events in Houston.
Yeah, remember those guys pretty well. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's quite a few teams, but it's a lot of those names were pretty much just like one off or other series. But your main teams, even though you've been playing since 2016, you've really only been under three main programs. So it's like you
Yeah.
played with the ATX Kings for a couple of years. And then when the ATX Kings kind of fell apart, you went over to the Innocent Bystanders.
Hmm.
And I think just this past year or maybe 2 years now, you've been playing with Austin Notorious since then.
Yeah. Pretty much
So
this year only.
so even with that many years of experience, it's cool that you're just staying with these established programs to kind of help you along the way. So what would you say that as far as, playing with programs and these programs specifically, what were some things that you took away from being part of them?
Well, with the ATX Kings was just a whole new experience because we were pretty much building the whole organization. So it was starting from the bottom, from like jerseys, pants, getting everything together. So all of that until like we had about 24, 26 guys, something like that, from
Mm.
D4, D3, D4, D5 guys. So everything just kind of fell apart in 2018, I believe. So all of that concept of like how to building up a team, like I took that from them. Innocent bystanders. The owner, Caesar, he's pretty cool. He's a great guy. Uh, he was really good. Just seeing how he will coach and got all his people together, like that was another part of like how to build a team together, how to stay connected with all of them as well. And I mean, Notorious is they've been a long in the game. So just getting to know their way of like the call outs, their zones, they're similar to the AC program,
Mhm.
but they have certain differences just here and there. So just right now, I'm trying to learn all of that so I can get used to that program. So they have a well set program. I just need to get used to that.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you've been in tournaments for as long as they have, and I want to say they're like, I mean, you said you were around FSU back in like 2002, 2003, so that's,
Yeah,
that's coming up on like 20
20
years
years.
of experience there.
Hmm.
So, um yeah, their calls, I mean, it's definitely well established. I mean, they've built their program from the ground up, grinding from Division 5 and beginner all the way up to now. They have a pro team, a Division 2 team, a European pro team. I mean, they're massive now, and it's a huge
Yeah,
organization to be able to be a part of.
yep, yeah. But it's just awesome to get into this big program and just trying to get in there and ball more and ball.
Oh yeah, and
Hmm.
so let's back up a little bit. So tell us about what was it that first got you into paintball?
I mean, when I first got like a marker from Walmart, one of those pump action
Mm,
paintballs, just one shot. Uh, it was just shooting it on the back patio and stuff like that. But then we found out that there was actually a field, constant action. One of the guys that was at the office of where I worked, he talked about when he went to a field where they had like parties and all that. So we went out to constant action. And then once we saw like all the people that were doing like the rec balls and then actually tournament people, I just like the sport. I mean, I've always liked different sports, but when I saw that and like shooting, moving around, trying to hide, shooting everywhere. And then my brother and I went and visited, like we both went the first time. And then after that, it was just, we're playing every weekend. So after that, it was just like, let's play. And we were just jumping from constant action. Then we found out La Paintball in Pflugerville. And then we went to Texas Paintball before they move
mm.
all the way to way out there, Lago Vista or Jonestown. So before just to be on 620, it was still as big, but they didn't have a lot of tournament people. It was mainly rec ball people. But we usually will go outlaw every single weekend, and then after that, it was just that. Just stick with the sport. I love the sport.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught by the bug. Like when you get
Yes.
caught by the bug, you get caught big time. It
Yeah.
seems that also just with the growth in this Central Texas area of paintball, like this scene has exploded in the last couple of years. I'd say, like seeing the huge difference in the just the number of players, the quality of players, how many like structured organizations are around now compared to let's say 2016 when you first started.
Yeah.
It's a night and day difference.
Yeah. Definitely. Like, yeah, I've seen that since we started the Kings to now. There's a whole lot. I mean, you look at Hypnotic, they have a ton of guys now. They used to play with us, but they're just so much bigger now. And so many different teams, so much good people playing. And like now my kids are like, can we join? Like, yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
and that's another thing is there's kids coming into the game now. I mean, we just
hmm.
this past week we had the TKO youth division line that won Bunkerfest, and they're how those kids are like 11, 12 years old. Like they're
Yeah.
I teach 11-year-olds in my elementary school. It's crazy how young these kids are getting into the game now.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, my son is 10 and he's like, when can I join? He like comes up to me, he's like, are you going paintball? Like, yeah, when can I join? It's like, let's go.
Yeah,
So
it's a great thing.
yeah, Yeah, so we'll see how far he takes it. See if he likes it. I mean, I've taken him to play some 50 cal.
Mhm.
So far, he's okay with that. So we'll see if he takes the next step. Maybe next year or this year. We'll see.
And I wish 50 cal was around when I had first started, or maybe even when I was a kid. Maybe I would have gotten into it way sooner, because I think 50 cal, like how popular it's come about in the last probably 5 years or so, I think that's responsible for a huge growth in the scene that we're seeing now. Just because
Yeah.
jumping straight to 68 that's a pretty brutal jump for a first time player.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the quality of equipment that we have now for the rentals, like ever since the EMET came out with both the 68 and the 50 cal versions, like it seems to just be a lot more pleasant of a first time experience. So I think those we're just continuing to see those inventions pay off for our sport, because a lot more people are getting involved now.
Definitely. I mean, when I started, I used to play with kids that were like 12, 13, but they were like, please shoot me one time only. Don't
Mhm.
just ramp on me. I'm like, yes, I understand. It hurts. And it's the same. Like right now when I take my kids and it's like just one shot and that's it. But whenever, because sometimes I play with them, I have the 50 cal and they'll have mine
Mhm.
shooting at me, but they'll just keep on shooting. And I'm like, stop, stop.
Oh man,
Yeah. So
that's hilarious.
it's fun. Yeah.
Well, I hope that if your kids like it, then welcome them into the sport. There's definitely a place for them now. So
Yeah.
along those lines of those things that have changed in the last couple of years, I mean, I'm sure the change has been way more apparent for you, having taken that long break and then kind of coming back into it cold turkey. So I'm sure the differences even between 2002 to when you came back in 2016, and then the differences since 2016 to now, have been pretty massive. So this question is brought to us by Hustletown Paintball. Head to hustletownpaintball.net, use code PIT10 for 10% off of your order. So what are some things that you've noticed that have changed within Texas paintball for better or for worse over those time periods?
I mean, like you said, the 50 cal, the change of different like sizes on the paint for kids, especially trying to join in, the sizes of the field. Like back then, Outlaw was a little bit different than what it is now. Now they have two fields for the airfield. Back then, it used to be so different. It was
Mhm.
nothing but rec balls, and they only have it like a little castle and like two other fields. So they made a big difference too. And then just seeing like every field now, from the woods to the airfield, at least having one of them, and then just the amount of people. Like back then, you will see nothing but rec ball, and it was like 20, 30 people at the most. Now you see a lot of people playing on the airfield, and it's like rotation after rotation of like teams trying to jump in and like get the reps in. It's like it definitely has grown a lot ever since like 2002 till now. It's a lot, big changes. And I mean, when I came back and I was like, we need to go to Waxahachie, it's like, where's that at? And then going to Paintball Fit. It's a big, dude, like big experience to experience that, different feels as well, different people, different like the way that like other teams play.
Mhm.
Because before it used to be nothing but whoever was at Outlaw or around Austin. Now it's like fit people, Dallas, Houston people. I mean, I like to play against like better people all the time because that's the only way that I feel I can get better. So from back then to now, it's just has exploded, like you said, on people. But like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and back then, like you used to get bunker like five, six balls. Sometimes it happens, but it's not that often now.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, just from what I've heard from other players who've been playing the game a lot longer than I have, um, just the Texas scene has really exploded to the point where we are like the place to be as far as level of competition, the number of players, the number of teams now. Like it's no longer just like one Texas scene where you have like one or two teams out of each field. You've got like each individual field has its own little scene. I
Yeah.
know over like at Outlaw, you've got, of course, the entire Austin Notorious program, all the way up from Pro and European Pro all the way down to D5. And there's, I believe y'all have multiple lines in D5 and D4. And then you've got the Austin Hypnotic Camp, who has multiple D4 and D5 lines. You've got Austin Evolution, Austin Oni. That's a lot of teams. And that's the same story going basically to whatever field you name in Texas. Like this past weekend over at X Factor, or even the weekend before that, that the box gets really crowded. You're waiting like 5 or 6 points in line just to get on the field for one spin. And it's insane to me just how big teams have become and how big the programs are now. And I think that we're definitely heading a step in the right direction. Like something that I've always said the last couple of episodes now is that it's not just the amount of teams, it's the amount of programs that are built from bottom to top that are attracting players, but also developing them and keeping them in the game. So one of the biggest things is just players are staying in for way longer.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the good thing. Like you get a lot of good players from like different like programs. And just like you said, it has exploded. And like you said, it's like the place to be. There's a lot of competition, good competition. So can't wait to see what the next year's hold.
Yep. And it's also cool to see, like, I know you mentioned the style differences between the different parts of Texas. Like you can tell if a team is from Fit. They have a specific style, like more kind of towards the old AC Dallas style of, crossing it up, keeping the zones contained and playing like really solid pocket ball, versus if you go to like the field in Austin, I know a couple of those teams there, they love to attack off the break, especially the snake. They love to load the snake. X Factor has their own style as well. Same thing with teams down in the Valley. It's really, and then of course Houston. So it's cool to see like each of their own mini scenes, like that makes up Texas as a whole, which makes it really, really cool.
Yeah, it's just a big expansion of it. Just seeing the different styles, because you play here and practice one way, but whenever you go up to Fit, Houston or X Factor is like a whole different thing. So you gotta adjust to your game. We gotta not attack as fast, slow down, which is hard for me to do.
Yeah, and it's just a healthy thing for us because we get to give each other different looks, and then when we go play these national events like the one that's coming up here in just under 36 hours now, then we're ready for it all. So it's great to see. So this next question is brought to us by Paintball Kumite, which is Colt Roberts' training regimen. Messaged Paintball Kumite on Instagram for to sign up for a class and mention the podcast for a free 1-hour introductory session. So you are coming off of back-to-back wins in Bunkerfest D4 and USXBL D4, and you earned the MVP award in both events. So let's start with Bunkerfest. Notorious had to fight through a division of 42 teams, which is massive. It's unlike anything that Texas has seen in quite a while. And y'all went 4-0. You earned a bye into the Ocho round, and then you won 4 playoff matches to take the title. So tell us about your experience at Bunkerfest and what you did to earn the MVP.
Well, Bunkerfest, it was a good tournament. It was pretty good. Well run. Chris Rangel, like he's doing some work. It was a pretty good setup, but Sunday it was a long day. Just fighting through all of those to get a bye. Like we started like at 8, 9 o'clock, and we pretty much finished playing until like night 7:30. Like the last point that we played was getting so dark. Even with the yellow lenses, was just hard to see. There was still some light, but it was hard to see. But I mean, we enjoyed the experience, like to experience that event. Like everything went so smooth on that event, like from paint, air, everything went well. Like I just loved that event. I had a great experience. From teams, I didn't hear a lot of complainings like any other events where like they complain about the venue or like the air stations, the refs not doing a good job. Like I think I only heard one time, but it was just like one time and done.
Mm.
And it was so small. And then other than that, it was pretty good. I loved it. Yeah. Great experience overall.
Good. Yeah, I know a lot of people enjoyed it for sure, and especially the teams that flew in, because there were a lot of teams that
Yeah.
flew in for that. And I mean, you ended up playing what? That would have been. I think you played what, 2 prelim matches on Saturday, and then you played the rest of your
Yeah.
games on Sunday. So you would have played 6 games on Sunday.
Yeah.
So that must have been a long
Yeah.
day.
It was a long day. I mean, by close to the semifinals, I was getting pretty cramped, like cramps in my legs. Yeah, it was just like stretch, stay hydrated.
Mhm.
But I mean, we, I think we had a really good team. Like a lot of the guys that were playing that event, some of them had never had a first place. At the end of it, just hitting that buzzer. I think what gave me that MVP was just that last move when I ran through the Dorito 50. And at one point, I was just posted on the outside because I could hear him on the other side and my too. Shout out to Tyler Kidd too, because he was just yelling. He's like next to you, the Omaha. And I could just feel the bunker moving. And I'm just gonna wait for him. And then I was just sitting. He's not coming, so I just ran through the middle, took him out, and then shipped the 2 guys on the inside. I think that's what gave me the MVP. Just shooting those last 3 guys on the overtime. It was just that last move.
Yep, definitely a huge move. I mean, there's been plenty of footage coming out off of that, and huge move, big move, and a big moment in the game. And it's cool that at Bunkerfest the MVP award is a team vote. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that even though you had the one great move, I mean your team must have been believing in you and how you've been performing throughout the entire weekend in order to vote for you for that award.
Yeah. I mean, well, they were all putting some work. Like, I think we were really good on the communication, on fixing anything that we did wrong on the, like on a previous game, and everything just stay calm. Like, I think that's the main thing when you kind of stay well-minded, like
Mhm.
calm and don't get mad if there's one mistake that one makes, because we all make it. If we just stay calm, fix that mistake, I just fixed everything, and it just stay cool. And like that, it was just cruising, even
Yeah.
though it was a long day.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it takes an entire team, and
Yeah.
y'all
Yeah.
were all playing really well. So, uh, and not just for that weekend, going into the very next weekend. So, no time off. You did it
No.
again at USXBL. You only dropped 3 points the entire weekend, and you 4-0'd every match in the playoffs at USXBL. So, how was your experience at that event? And then again, same question for the MVP moment for you.
Well, there was still a long day, not as long as the previous years, seasons before. It was a long day before. But it was a lot of good teams out there. I mean, yeah, I know we played you guys. That was a good match. That was a battle. Something's happening around that
Mm-hmm.
that match. Tyler Stees, and then I don't know what the other guy was. Uh, but like it was good. I mean, they ran it well, like every single USXBL was pretty smooth. We were just staying good communication and like everybody staying on their toes. Like I know that on this one, Skylar Smith was coaching us. He did a really awesome job. Um, and then just I think communicating was one of the biggest things. The same thing, staying cool. If somebody did a mistake, don't worry about it. Just fix it on the next one, and just staying calm. I think that's what helped us big time. And all of the guys that were playing in Bunkerfest and then U6BL, like they were just their communication wasn't on point. And that's what gave us the time. I mean, honestly, just like Bunkerfest, we were all playing really well. And USXBL, we were like doing the same. I wasn't sure who was gonna like get the MVP. That day when I got there, Cole was like, "Are you coming back for another MVP?" I haven't thought about it. And I was like, maybe, I don't know. And then at the end, whenever they give us the banner and Greg Pauly was just pulling it, I'm like, oh, and I just looked at everybody like, I wonder who's going to get it. I was surprised that I got it because we were all doing some really good work. So getting it, it was just like, it's a great feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, especially getting 2 in a row. Do you think, was there like a specific moment that you think that that they had in mind when they awarded that to you, or you think just it was in general?
I don't know if they were just, I think it was in general. I don't know if the final, because in the final, I was just going down their snake all the way to their side and just taking them all out pretty much. It was, I think in 2 of the games, I got like 4-pack. I don't know if that was the
Yep,
move.
that'll do it. Yeah.
So just, I mean, just by having that communication from your 2 guys, it was like great. And like just seeing the field, having a good field awareness, because I can like pretty much, if some of my guys call a guy, like I know where he's at. So I know that I'm free to go. So all of that communication, because I'm always listening. So I'm like, I know I can go that far. So let's go. So yeah, probably that.
Oh yeah. Well, those I mean, there's a reason that you got 2, right? It's not going to be a fluke in either instance. So you definitely have been
Yeah.
killing it, and you are like the man to beat. You're the single player to beat in Texas right now in D4. So real quick, because we had to do this call on Zoom today instead of Discord. We were just having some problems, and it looks like Zoom is gonna kick us off after another 4 minutes. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna start a new call with Gio on Zoom and then get right back to it, just so we don't get cut off. So everybody, I'm gonna put us on a waiting screen here real quick, and then we will be back here in just a second. While we're waiting, if you want to go ahead and get your questions in the chat, we will answer all of those at the end of the show. So yeah, while we're getting this all fixed up, think of some questions you want to ask Gio, get them in the chat. All right, y'all, we are back. Thank you so much for your patience. So this next question is brought to us by our new sponsor on the show, Aramis PB. They make headbands and other headwear. I've got a headband that he gave to me this past weekend. Showing it off right here. I actually used it, not washed. I did use it at practice this past weekend. I think this one's pretty sick. He's got a couple of different patterns. He's going to be doing one giveaway a month here on the show. So be sure to tune in. Also go check out Hermes PB on Instagram. So this season, there are many teams and players that are directly comparing both of the leagues here in Texas, Bunkerfest being the new one this year, and then USXBL, which has been around for quite a long time. So for you, having competed in both leagues and also winning both season openers and winning the MVP in both, Would you say that is it worth it as a player to be playing both series? Like, if you can afford both of them, is it worth to play both?
I believe it is. I mean, just like at Bunkerfest, you get a whole lot of teams, like you said, that they fly in. So you get to experience a whole lot of level from other places of paintball. Because we all in Texas, we know, like you said, the style that they play in Dallas, the style that they play in Houston. So if you can afford it, yes. I mean, originally I wasn't gonna play USXBL. And then the guys that were gonna play, they're like, "Are you playing?" I said, "No, I can't because I can't afford it." And then I told them if, like, as we were progressing in Bunkerfest, I told them if we win, I'll play it. So, and that was a good incentive to say like, let's play harder and like let's win. So at the end of the Bunkerfest, they're like, "So we see you next week," and I was like, "Yep, I'll see you there." So yeah, I think if you can afford it, because you'll see a whole lot of different teams, it's definitely good to play both.
Oh yeah, I mean the cash prize at Bunkerfest, I'm sure doesn't hurt either. I think what did y'all win? 5 grand for first?
Yeah, 5 grand, and then sponsors. Shout out to Max. We got an incentive like covering paint,
Mm.
so it was a big plus. So it was awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah, good for y'all. So, yeah, just getting as much playing experience as you can, if you can afford it, is a big thing because I know that those events are back to back weekends for pretty much the entire season. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's definitely a financial crunch. But if you can afford to do it, then yeah, just the more experience that you can get, absolutely.
Hmm.
So this next question is brought to us by FUAthletics. Go to thefuathletics.com and use code inthepits25 for 25% off of your order. So looking back at your career up to this moment, do you have a single favorite moment in your career?
Uh, I mean, uh, playing all the USXBL, HTPLs, everything at Paintball Fit, getting to be noticed by like Greg Pauly, Mark Johnson, uh, Gel from AC Diesel. Getting to know by those guys, it was a plus. It was just like, that's great. Like, I'm guessing I'm doing something right to be like them coming up to me and telling me like, keep doing this or you're doing a good job. Just keep it up. Like, that's awesome. And when you try to put in the work, and it's like, that's a big plus when you start getting to see some of those bigger guys that have been longer than I have just noticing you. And I mean, through this whole period of paintball, it's just like getting to know a lot of the guys. That's another plus. It's just like a whole lot of people that you can meet at paintball. It's another plus.
Yeah, for sure. And I know back in what 2018 or somewhere around there, speaking of getting noticed by Greg Pauly, Mark Johnson, and Jill Stewart, you actually got invited to go to some tryouts up there back for AC Dallas, correct?
Yes, correct. I mean, I think it was 2018. I got invited to do one tryout for AC Dallas. I mean, honestly, I was like, I don't think I'm at the level yet, but getting invited, I'm like, I'm gonna take advantage. It's just taking it like a big glorifying practice. Just getting to practice against the guys is another experience. Like some of the stuff that I took from there, I try to put it into the ATX Kings, and it helped because after that we kind of started to go up. Like we started to win USXBL, some of the XTPLs. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, and I mean, just what you said about building connections with others in the sport. Like, there's so many awesome people here in the sport,
Yeah.
and it's great to be kind of witness the Texas scene as a whole, kind of get a little bit more connected with each other over the last probably like post COVID, I'd say, because it's felt very like tribal in a sense in the past where like the San Antonio teams really didn't, you know, have anything to do with any of the fit teams. And
Hmm.
then same thing, Houston was off doing their own thing and no one really mingled. But now with especially with Bunkerfest, pulling in all of the teams throughout the year. I know USXBL was primarily like Fit and X Factor, and you really wouldn't see so much Houston involvement in the USXBL because they had their own Gulf Coast series, and so they all did that event up until the championships. But now that we're all kind of together for all of the events, it seems like more and more teams, players, individuals, they're building these connections with other teams from other places. Like you're seeing, especially teams from the Valley, I've noticed, like they're coming up more and more and, scrimmaging, playing with guys at X Factor, guys in Austin, and yeah, just building those connections. And it's great to be getting those looks because like those guys in the Valley are really good. And B, like just, as a player getting more experience seeing the different styles.
Yeah, just like at Bunkerfest, we were playing some of the guys that were coming from, I think, New Orleans. I've never played anybody from over there, so I was like, it's a great experience. I think it's like 13, some type of name.
Yeah, Team 13.
Team 13. So it was really cool to play those guys because they play a little different than what we do. So it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the team that Jesse Stevens coaches.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, and they will be at NXL as well, playing in D3. They ended up in the Titans bracket, so we'll get to play them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So speaking of NXL, this weekend is the NXL Lone Star event where you will be again competing with Austin Notorious D4. So what are your thoughts about the layout and what are some of the things that Notorious D4 line did to prepare this past weekend?
We'll try to get more of that communication on the field. Try to get those guys. Since we won back to back, we feel like we have a bigger target. So just trying to stay like level headed and then just keep that communication as it has been working in the past two events. We didn't did anything special. We just mainly try to keep that communication still on point. Some of the guys are gonna go practice, I believe, on Thursday, tomorrow. I unfortunately won't be doing that because work, but the layout looks fun. I think it's gonna be kind of chaotic. People are gonna be, like you mentioned earlier, like getting shot at break. Definitely think that some of the guys are gonna be just getting through the middle. But it's gonna be a fun layout comparing like the Bunkerfest that was just big open field, just holding lanes. This is gonna be fun where people are gonna be more aggressive on one or the other side.
Oh yeah, definitely very different than what we've seen so far. And even compared to the first NXL event, that one was very slow and technical and cross communication, things like that. This seems to be a lot more smash mouth.
Yes.
Yeah. So should be a great event. Let's see. This next question is brought to us by Get Dat Shot. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram for media coverage at Bunkerfest or NXL. And this is a question I ask everybody that comes on the show. So are there anybody in Texas, teams, players, brands, projects that have caught your attention lately? Who do you think in Texas deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
Well, I think in general, like all the teams in Texas, there's a lot of teams like us that were just coming up as well. D4 guys. The whole paintball community, like they're paying attention to all of us. Like you said, the place to be. Got a really good competition. So, I mean, some of the guys in my line, like they're really good. Like, hopefully you'll have them later. And like, just everybody, like in general, all the teams.
Yeah, Texas is at a really good spot right now. It's an exciting time. I call it the arms race that's going on right now. So real quick, I've got another question that I wanted to ask you earlier. So for anybody that's in the chat, if you got something you want to ask Gio, we're here at the end of our episode. So now's your last chance to get a question in. So one thing that I wanted to ask you, as far as some of the other players that you've gotten to play with over the years, something that was very notable at USXBL was that your line had Tyler Spees on, who is a former AC Dallas pro player. Did his time in APPA purgatory and finally deranked enough so that he could play D4 again. So what was it like getting to have a player with that much experience on that team with you?
Well, I mean, he's been coaching a lot of the Notorious guys for a while. I know that in 2019, whenever I went to play World Cup, he was there coaching them as well. He's a great coach. Shout out to him. He knows the game very well. And his communication is way better, like than everybody else. Like once he's in the field, just hearing him, getting to hear his voice in the field, because it's different when you hear him as coaching. It's like, I need you to do this, or did you get pressure going here and that? It's just getting to hear his voice in the field was just a different feeling. It's just like, it's awesome. Like knowing him, how higher of a player he is. It's just an awesome to share the field with him. And the plus was that when he came back to play, because I know he's been out of the game for a while, it was just mainly coaching. It was just great to have a first place when he came back.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that was a plus.
I bet. Yeah, I mean, when you've waited for that long to be able to play locally again, then I would hope that you're not getting knocked out pretty early. So that's definitely a lot of waiting and patience paid off for Tyler. So it's good that he gets to be able to play locally again. So looks like that does it for our show. This final question is brought to us by Compete. Message him on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order of soft goods. So Gio, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Well, shout out to all of the guys that play Bunkerfest with me, USXBL with me. There's a lot of guys. I mean, they know who they are. Shout out to all of you guys, all of the old guys from the ATX Kings, everybody that knows me. Shout out to you guys. Hope to see you in the field again. Whether it be Bunkerfest, USXBL, NXL. It's always a pleasure to play against like some of the guys that I know. And shout out to my sponsors, Virtue, Outlaw, Paintball, my home field, Max, Powerhouse, Lux. Shout out to Shelduff, Bearball. So, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to you, Gio. You've been a powerhouse in the game for a little while now, and it's cool to see that you're getting all the success. And you definitely deserve it. You've definitely worked hard for it, and I think pretty soon we'll see you competing more and more on bigger and bigger stages. So looking forward to seeing that. So everybody that's tuning in, thank you all so much. And also thank you all for your patience as we were dealing with some, fixing some technical issues here at the start. So be sure to go follow Gio. That's at Giovanni Cardiel on Instagram, all one word. So y'all, what other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. I want to give a shout out to my partners and sponsors, FUAthletics, Get Dat Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, Hustletown Paintball, and Hermes PB. We will see you guys next week for episode 46. Stay tuned for the schedule for May, where we will have episodes 46, 47, 48, 49, and episode 50, the big one. And y'all, I'm just gonna we've got the schedule ready, and it's a banger. That's all I'm gonna say. So definitely stay tuned. And then, of course, if you're at NXL this weekend, come by, say hi. Let's take some pictures. If you got stickers for me, I'll take them. I've been slowly adding stickers to the water bottle. I want to keep featuring everybody that I can. I just added Hermes here, the new sponsor. So come say hi. And we will see you all next Wednesday here on YouTube. Gio, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, man.